my name is Paige, and I am the social media director for the Press Corp. And
my name is Molly, and I'm a member of the Press Corp.
Nice. Okay, so kind of what we wanted to ask is, can you tell us about your why story and like when you became the CEO of the South African YMCA?
Well, thank you for the question. Good to meet the two of you. My why story is quite interesting. I'm 12 months into my role as CEO. I don't have any formal connection to the Y, other than the fact is that I was asked to come and assist the Y in furthering the story. But what I have discovered coming into the Y is that I have connection to the Y, and that I know a lot of people connected to the Y. And so my story is unfolding.
Yeah, I get it.
We wanted to ask, like, what is a typical day in the life for you in your job title at the YMCA?
There is a typical day. It's different every day. So in the role and function of the CEO, your responsibility is one, to look at vision and strategy. Then you have a mandate that is set for you by the board, and so you try and operationalize that. You have a staff that works under you in terms of its finance, operations, programs, and then also creating the connection between the national office and local associations, and meeting with partners.
You said strategy, so like can you go into specifics about that?
So strategy can refer to what's the direction we want the organization to go into. So for example, what is the focus for the board? Essentially the board sets the strategy and direction for the organization. And the strategy could include, for one, what are our strategic signature programs, for example, working in civic education, youth and government, addressing issues with early childhood development, whether we're offering sports or arts. And then the other one is ensuring that the governance aspects and compliance of the organization is all in order.
So you talked about strategy and you went a little further into it, but what were some of your, or are some of your goals you would like to see be accomplished by the YMCA South Africa? I know you just started about 12 months ago, so you have a lot of time to accomplish it. So what are you looking forward to?
So in fact, part of the reason for being here is my interest in simplification that's happening within government. We've got our national elections in a year's time, a year and a half. And part of our challenge we have in South Africa is we have a young people, a group of essentially young people, their voices and their vote is not recognized. And so my focus for the next year is to mobilize young people, to get them to vote, get registered to vote, get them to vote, and also to understand their rights and responsibilities in terms of our Constitution.
As the YMCA South Africa continues to grow, what steps will you and your, community will be taking to ensure the organization's success?
I think the first thing is for people who are members of the Y, that they have ownership. One of the things we have the saying that young people at the center of everything. Essentially, young people who sit on the board, young people who are part of making the decisions, ensuring that the spaces we have are safe for young people and amplifying their voices. That is a determining factor for us for success.
So you obviously have a super important role as CEO of the YMCA in South Africa. So I'm sure you have a lot of good advice. So what would you tell these delegates here and future leaders? Like, what do they need to do to succeed and get themselves out there?
So if I listened to the governor's speech, I was really impressed by the speech. And I think the thing that he said at the end around young people hold the adults accountable. And we need to create spaces for young people's voices to be amplified. We always have the saying is, are we making enough space at the table for young people? And if the space is not being made, guess what? Young people have the ability to build their own tables.
I really like that. This is more of a silly question, but like, what is the most thing you love about your job?
I get to cool people like you.
Thanks. Would you like this?
Yeah, I'll ask this one. So how did your time in previous leadership roles, such as Chief Operating Officer for Youth for Christ South Africa, impact your position as YMCA?
So I have a compliance and governance background. I've been fortunate enough, and not just with Youth for Christ, the type of roles that I've had in the past around actually coming alongside boards and leadership in understanding their roles and functions, and the preparation I received at Youth for Christ prepared me to actually lead a national organization such as YMCA.
Great. And us personally, we're learning, or we have been learning about South Africa, its history. So we wanted to first ask what some might be a little bit of, I don't know. Did you grow up in South Africa?
Yes, I did.
And if so, you did. So how did that impact your moral compass and your strong sense of justice?
So I'm part of that generation that grew up under apartheid. And growing up in the 80s and the 90s, and I'll use an example. I went to a primary school, elementary school, and there was a time where we were under a state of emergency. All that means is that the government determined the times that you could be on the street. You could go to school, but at a certain time you needed to be in the house. But during school, there was an event that took place 200 meters from my school, where there were a bunch of student activists that were protesting against the government, and the police actually set a trap. It's actually called the Trojan horse, and 4 students were killed because of that. And that impressed on me to say that I want to be part of something that changes the situation, so that the police no longer see students as a threat. And so I committed myself at a young age to say, how can I be part of that change? And so coming into the new, what we call the new dispensation of the new government, what they call post-1994, and I guess the role that I have at YMCA, right, as CEO, is continuing to say, how do we ensure that young people like yourselves have the opportunity to actually use your voice and not be afraid to use it?
How do you relate to the kids a few days ago that had a protest at the Capitol? And kind of, what ways do you see yourself in them?
So when I heard about the protests and I saw it, I said, there are young people who recognize they have a voice and they have agency, and that the issues that matter to them need to be raised and somebody needs to do it. And so I identify strongly with the right to protest, but also the right to say that the bills and the laws that ensure that we are safe, if they're not being implemented, we need to do something about it.
Well, thank you so much for this interview. I think we both learned a lot.
Thank you so much.
I think that you're just inspirational to us, and I just thank you so much.
Thank you for the
Really
opportunity.
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I'm like, where's the difficult question?